Growing fresh, delicious purple potatoes is easier than you think. In today's episode, we look at growing purple potatoes in your home garden. To start growing purple potatoes, we will be starting our potato plants from seed potatoes. These potatoes have been sitting in our pantry and they started sprouting just a little bit, and you can keep them in direct sunlight to check if they've sprouted, or you can keep them in Ziploc bags to make sure that they are not rotting. And if they're still producing sprouts and not getting bad or decayed, that means you can use them as seed potatoes. So our first step is to examine all our potatoes very carefully and only keep the ones that are nice and fresh and not rotting. So as you can see, the one on the left has a little bit of decay. We're going to be leaving that alone and then planting these 4 seed potatoes to start our potato plants. And you can see here they have already started sprouting, and this is a great time to plant these purple potatoes. Now we are planting our potatoes in December. The first thing we are adding to our raised bed is bone meal. Bone meal is an extremely nice fertilizer for potatoes, and all it contains is just bone meal. It's high in phosphorus, and your potato plants will grow great if you add bone meal to your soil. And potatoes do very well in both containers and in raised beds. In our case, we are planting these potatoes in raised beds. So we are going to choose the location to plant our 4 seed potatoes and then dig up the area a little bit to loosen up the soil. And this soil already contains a lot of rich organic matter, a lot of worm castings. So all we do is supplement the soil with some bone meal. We add in a handful of bone meal to each of the planting holes that we dug up. And it's important to mix in this bone meal into the soil. That way the bone meal can be mixed up very well directly in the root area where you will be planting your seed potatoes. Now you don't have to go overboard in mixing the bone meal. The nutrients will get to the plants eventually. But just mixing it in a little bit helps the bone meal get a little bit more deeper into the soil where it will be used up by the plant. And now we are planting our seed potatoes. All we are doing is digging up a little hole and then putting the seed potato inside the planting hole. Now you can go deeper. The potatoes will still grow very well. And the deeper you plant, I have seen that the potatoes grow that much better. But we are going to be adding some compost on the top later, as you'll see. So we are planting these about 4 to 6 inches deep into the soil, which is good enough to start these potato plants. Now the best time to plant potatoes in Southern California is December, because the winter season allows the seed potatoes to settle down a little bit, and when spring sets in, it's the perfect weather for potatoes. So mid-December or January are the perfect time to plant seed potatoes in Southern California. And depending on when your spring season starts, you may want to plant this a few days earlier. At about 28 days since planting, you can see that the seed potatoes have sent out shoots that are growing quite well. And if you have not added fertilizer to start with, this is a good time to add some bone meal or some good all-purpose fertilizer to your soil. And at 43 days since planting, the plants have grown quite well. They are nice, lush green. The leaves are doing quite well. And at 74 days since planting, we are going to be adding some compost on the top so that we don't leave any potatoes exposed to the air. The worst thing you can do for your potato plants is let the potatoes grow over the soil, which results in potatoes that are not too good to eat and may even be toxic. So you do want to cover your potato plants very well with some kind of compost. You can use homemade compost or buy some from your garden center, but make sure that you cover your plants very well. And once you have covered your plants, you can water them thoroughly. The watering lets the compost settle down on the plants. It also helps you remove any compost that may be sitting on the leaves of the plants. And adding this kind of compost on top will not only provide nutrients to your potato plants, but will also encourage root development, which will result in many potatoes being formed. At 79 days since planting, you can see that the potato plants have grown quite well. The stems are getting thicker. The leaves are looking a lot better now. And once again, if you haven't added fertilizer yet, this is a good time to add some all-purpose fertilizer or bone meal to your plants. At 89 days, you can see that the plants have grown well. There's a little bit of rust on the plants, on the leaves, the dark brown spots. And if you see these, you can spray these plants with neem oil to get rid of the rust on the leaves. And neem oil also targets and kills any insects or pests on your potato plants. At 137 days since planting, it's now May, and we are beginning to harvest our potatoes. And these potatoes are purple in color. They're almost black, so it's hard to see them in the soil. So if you can see these potatoes in the soil, you do have a good eye. And you can see these potatoes, they look quite good, almost black in color. And the purple color on these potatoes is due to the presence of anthocyanins, which are a type of antioxidant, just like the ones found in blueberries. So they're extremely healthy for you. These purple potatoes, in fact, are much healthier than the white potatoes. They have a lower glycemic index, which means that you can better control your blood sugar by eating these potatoes instead of the white ones. So all in all, it's a great option to grow these potatoes in your home garden because they taste just as good as the white potatoes, even better, but they also are healthier than white potatoes. Now you can see some grubs on our raised beds, and these are because the grubs love to live under the compost, the rich organic matter that's here. But don't worry about the grubs, you can just discard them. And look at the potatoes here, they are just awesome. The 4 plants that we planted are giving us a lot of potatoes. So on an average, you can get about 5 to 6 potatoes per plant. And remember, we are just using all the organic matter in the soil to grow these potatoes. This soil has a lot of compost, a lot of organic matter, a lot of worm castings. And all this helps the purple potatoes grow very well. And you can see a lot of earthworms in the soil, which is a sign that your soil is very healthy. And once you harvest the potatoes, you can wash them. Now you can leave the dirt on the potatoes if you want to store them in a cool place. But in our case, we are going to be consuming these right away. So we are washing these potatoes very well to get rid of the dirt so that these potatoes can be consumed. And here you can see beautiful looking purple potatoes, extremely nice, extremely healthy, and also very delicious. So there we have it, folks. That was our episode on growing purple potatoes. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you like growing potatoes, do put in a comment below. And if you have grown purple potatoes in your garden, do let me know which variety you have tried. We'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.